in the telescopes that
And the what?
were actually sent to the show. So we have a set of telescopes that has been shipped to different astronomy trade shows since sometime in the 2014, 2016 timeframe. We were hoping to get new telescopes in time to be able to show new telescopes at neaf, but the truth is that we're overwhelmed with customers, and everything that's arriving to us right now is pre-sold or pre-ordered. So the typical like wait time is in the 7 month time period. So we were unable to get a lot of new telescopes but they are on the way for the next show.
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne, could you close your ears for a minute? Seriously, I don't want you to hear this.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Chris.
Sir.
So Stellafane is the end of August, and they don't allow commercial exhibitors. But if you send up one of your scopes, I'll put it on one of my mounts and have it there at my campsite and send it back to you.
Okay. I will have to ask about that. I'm ultimately
This
not in
would
charge
not
of those
this
things.
would not be the first time I did that, by the way.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, if I can speak for everybody here, don't call us sir.
Well, you can call
Okay.
me sir. That's okay.
Well, you know, it's a formal group.
I'll have my mule on there anyway, Peter, so.
Okay. So don't send a mule on, send something else.
It'll have to be something else. because-
We do have one new person, Joe. He's he is with the group down here. He'll be working with us Friday night at the observatory. You want to introduce yourself, Joe?
Yeah, I'm been in Fort Myers now for half the year for about 8 years, and been in the Southwest Florida Astronomy Association for probably 5 years. I also belong to a club up in Michigan, the Muskegon Astronomical Society in West Michigan. And at that site, I'm building an observatory right now. Matter of fact, I'm going up there next week to start installing equipment for my observatory in Michigan, which the building is finished. It's a 16 by 20-foot roll-off roof observatory. It's going to have two piers. I was talking to Tony about this a few days ago. One pier is going to be a Pier Tech 2, those adjustable height piers, and I'm going to have a Rainbow Astro RST 300 mount on that for a pair of APM 150 millimeter binoculars, although I'm having a hard time getting my hands on a pair of those. And then the other pier is going to be a Planewave L350 alt azimuth mount. And that has a 100-pound weight capacity. So on that, I'm maxing out the capacity with a 12-inch Planewave corrected Dahl-Kirkham scope with the carbon fiber tube. And then on the other side will be a 6-inch Explorer Scientific refractor that I already have, and a 180 millimeter Maxitoff that I have. So 3 scopes on that L350 mount, and also the observatory, when it's finished, hopefully within the next month. I have quite a collection of astronomy art. A lot of it signed by astronauts, things like that. So it's going to be also kind of an art gallery effect. And just for fun, I'm having the floor done. I learned about it down here in Florida. I never saw this in Michigan, but where people epoxy garage floors. And I found a guy up in Michigan who's going to epoxy the floor in black, and he's going to put white specks in it so it'll look like stars at night when you look at the floor. So anyway, very excited about that. Yeah, very excited. But great and this is my first time, of course, on this group Zoom meeting. So nice to see everybody, and it's really opening my horizons a little bit more.
Yeah, hey Joe, let me just tell you, you gotta let that off gas a long time before you get the scopes in there.
You mean the floor?
Yeah, and I always recommend a light colored floor so you can find stuff when you drop it.
Oh, well, I don't know. It hasn't been done yet, so maybe I'll hold off on that a little bit. But because Because like I said, I'm down here half the year and up in Michigan half the year, so maybe I'll wait and do the floor in the fall before I head out, because I'm not going to leave most of the equipment in there because it's a very remote location. One of my big concerns is theft. This site is about 30 miles from anywhere, and every building out there, there's several private observatories. Everyone that somebody has attempted to break in, but fortunately no one has broken in so far. But you know, because it's like I said, it's way out in the middle of nowhere, and most people don't know what these buildings are, but they still try to break in. I was a member of, I lived out in San Diego, California for 9 years, and I was a member of their club for the whole time I lived in San Diego, and their site's right on the Mexican border, about 70 miles east of San Diego. And they had, I think, 8 or 9 private observatories there, and every single one of those was broken into, often by, this is back in the 80s. They were often broken into by people crossing the border illegally, and just looking for shelter. They didn't know what they were. They weren't trying to steal equipment, but there's just some place to sleep. So yeah, that's good advice, Fred. Thanks. I'll maybe wait on the floor then.
Well, see, we had in the HAS, the Houston group, a roll off, and it's the construction brick, and they had put in a sealer on the brick that off gassed, and we had to recoat the mirrors because
Wow.
of the off gas.
Well, I had this building is also concrete block, and I had them it's rebar, and I had them put foam in the block, and I had 2 coatings of sealant, and then a white reflective paint on the outside, so to reflect, of course, as much of the sun as possible. And so I've never even thought about outgassing from the paint or the sealant, but maybe I need to, check that out before I install this equipment.
Yeah. If you just let it weather, and
Yeah.
then you'll be safe.
Yeah.
That's what this call's all about, learning stuff you didn't think of.
Right.
Two other things. Carlos, do you have your pictures from last week? And Steve, can you give Joe a direct contact with Marcus, because he's trying to get the binoculars, and I told him he can go direct rather than going through a dealer here in the United States.
Yeah, Woodland Hills, I've contacted them several times, and they got back to me, but then, and I'm not bugging them, I'm just asking them if I can, they don't have them in stock, and they won't even give me an estimate on when I can get them. I did see there's a company in Canada that sells them, and it was for substantially less than Woodland Hills. And of course, the Canadian dollar is weaker than the US dollar. So I don't really understand. If I can get them from Canada, I could probably save a lot of money. But Tony suggested maybe just trying to contact APM directly to order those.
Well, I can send you Marcus's email.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that'd be nice.
And Carlos, do you have the pictures from your observatory? Because we didn't see those last week.
No, I'm sorry. I actually just got out of the hospital. I'm not prepared for anything today.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I can have it ready for you for next week.
All right, because I don't know what happened to Leo. He was going to talk to us because I think he was telling us that where he's has a camping area in it. I think it's on the Eclipse line. So I think we could take about 20 of us could go down there for the week. Be a lot cheaper than renting a hotel for $750.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's at Grand Mesa, Colorado, I think.
Actually, we've already paid for the ATMOB trip to Texas. It's kind of where they wanted to deposit immediately, and they wanted the rest paid up like about a month ago.
What were they charging?
I think, well, it was for me and my wife. I think it wound up being like around 2,000
total. Yeah. Yeah, the timing for the payment requirement was on was from the travel agency that we were dealing with. It really wasn't off of, from AtMob, but at the end of the day, you could blame me.
Was that something you put together, Peter?
I worked with a travel agent to get something, yeah. We had a dickens of a time finding a hotel that would take reservations. I can tell you that. And there's still hotels down there that won't take reservations. They're like waiting for the last minute to try to really jack up prices. In our case, we found a Hilton, I think it's a Hilton property, but it's locally owned, that like a franchise that took our reservations. They took our reservations and like a month later said, never mind, we can sell them for more. So through our travel agent, we actually went to Hilton Corporate and complained very loudly. And they were, I think, forced by corporate to accept our rooms.
What are you getting for it? What are they getting for a night, Peter?
They weren't. It was 3 nights, and it was about $1,000, a little over 1,000 per person. And as far as I know, half the hotel or more wasn't rented, and they wanted to double that.
Jeez.
Peter, are you talking about Texas?
Yeah, Bourne, Texas.
Okay.
B-O-U-R or E-R, whatever it is. Bourne, Texas.
That's
About
Bernie,
3.5 minutes.
Texas.
3.5 minutes of totality.
How do you pronounce it? Bernie, Texas?
Bernie, Texas.
Sorry,
It's okay.
You better get it right, Peter, before you go down there.
I guess.
Yeah.
You'll get one of those, you ain't from around here, are ya?
Well, I'm going to get that anyhow.
Yeah. Chris, I'd be interested to see what you thought of neaf and what people were asking you Takahashi folks about.
Well, it was my first neaf. I had been to the AIC conference before, and of course, I was at the NEAIC conference while we're there as well. Most people in the American consumer market are really using our telescopes for astrophotography. So we received some very, very pointed questions, technical questions about which telescopes work best with which cameras, or which cameras should be paired up with the different telescopes. So luckily the factory provides us with a great deal of information to help those people along.
Great. I noticed they had the 160 ED there in your display. Is that really good for night vision, you think?
Actually, I have not tried that with the night vision. So the telescope that you saw was actually a Epsilon 130. That one,
okay.
once again, is from about the 2014 time frame. I've used the 130s and the 160s for astrophotography, but those telescopes are f3.3, so they're very demanding with eyepieces. You have to have good quality eyepieces, otherwise it immediately shows you the shortcomings of the eyepieces.
Right. The beauty with night vision being the faster the better. So
yes, exactly. Okay,
yeah.
okay. And
Might be
then
cool.
but the 160 produces a resolution that's 3 microns or less across a fully illuminated and fully corrected 44 millimeter image circle. So it makes it a really good complement to like ZWO ASI 2600 cameras or 6200 full frame cameras.
Terrific. Well, yeah, I enjoyed the beautiful scopes. I enjoyed looking at them.
Thank you, sir. I'll let the guys at the factory know.
Yeah.
Oh, I should tell you that the one that you saw was kind of the old color scheme. It's a flat school bus yellow with all black fittings. The ones that we've received in the last 2 shipments have been really, really pretty yellow metal sparkle paint, and all the new fittings are a very, very dark navy blue. So they're aesthetically far more appealing. And even the new diagonals that we have received from the factory are that same very, very dark navy blue finish.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know why they went to that? Is that just to make it more appealing?
I think to make them a little more visually appealing, and you know, the only complaints that we have really about any of the telescopes has to do with the focusers. So the fellow Mitsuru from the factory was here to do some research on other companies' focusers as well, to see how ours can be improved for the future.
Interesting. Great. Well, there's a great benefit of having neaf, where the manufacturers themselves can also learn more and see other folks as well. That's very good.
We had good conversations with several of the other manufacturers.
Great. Oh, you know who else was it? There was Tom Peters from Disc Mounts. That's just as an aside.
Hey, Tony,
Yes.
I just put up a thing there. But unless Leo's down in that bottom corner of Colorado, looks like the eclipse path, at least the annular, is that not hitting much of Colorado.
No.
Well, I'm talking
And I
about
think
the total one, I
ne-
think.
Yeah, next year's is going the other way, right? It's going
Yeah.
kind of where San Antonio is, it going northeast, right?
It's
Yeah.
going, yeah, it's from Mexico up to Maine. or
Goes
Vermont,
through
yeah.
Austin.
It just kind of touches Austin.
Yeah, it's
Next
the
year?
center line. Yeah, the
Next
center
year.
line I think is about 20 or 30 miles north of Austin.
Yeah,
Well,
it goes
I'm
through
gonna-
Fredericks.
I'm going to be
Fredericksburg.
in Leander, and I'm pretty close to the center line.
There's still questions about about the highways during totality next year. There's monthly meetings among all kinds of political folks and safety folks down in Texas about how they're going to handle the crowds and such. And I know one of the fellows from Sky and Telescope who sits in on it. And one of the things they're considering is literally closing the interstates the day of the eclipse. So if you ain't there, you is screwed.
Mhm.
But it's only a possibility. I don't know how strong a possibility.
I don't see that happening.
You know, the other thing they're looking at is things like all those little towns. How they're gonna get provisions into town so there's literally enough food to eat for a day or two after the eclipse.
For the last big eclipse in 2017, I was in the Kansas City area, and they talked about closing the highways out there as well, but they never did, and there was no problem.
Well, in 2017, I was in southern Illinois near Carbondale, where NASA was set up. And when I left there, I drove for 12 hours, lucky to make 100 miles, slept overnight, and left the next morning after the traffic cleared. It was a disaster. Heading back to Chicago.
It was tough going. I was in Tennessee and I had to get back to, the DC area, and it was a pain in the neck. I mean, there was so much traffic on the highway.
Well, for this year, on October 14th, I'll be in Albuquerque with my grandson, who works at Sandia Labs. So I'm going to do that. And then I'll go on out to the ESSP Star Party in Pie Town, which is a Bortle 1 site. So me and Alex, my son, are doing that. And then in April 8th of 24, I'll be at my nephew's house in Leander, Texas, set up in his yard. So I have no place to go. I'm there and I can set up the night before and sleep.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's totally different than the junk I went through in 2017.
Yeah, well, in 2017, I was in Casper, Wyoming, and they had that week-long convention there, and people just stayed around to avoid the traffic.
Yeah, I wish I had. That was terrible.
What's the date on this eclipse that the map is showing?
October 14th.
Okay. Is it a total solar eclipse?
Annular.
Annular.
Which?
Annular.
Ring
Annular?
of Fire. Ring
yeah,
of
okay.
Fire.
Yeah, Ring of Fire.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about going down there, Ray. I guess our guy is still working on it from our local club.
Did he find any rooms with the Balloon Fest going on in Albuquerque?
He's actually heading down there. I guess he's called and there are rooms available because he called and I guess he's heading down next week he was going down for another reason, but he was going to do some scouting while he was down there. And then we were going to be able to go ahead and book the rooms.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he makes out. I'm not sure where where exactly he's going to be. But you're right. The Balloon Festival is that weekend, so all the popular hotels are already completely booked just for that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to go. We'll see.
Where are they going, Mike?
Albuquerque.
Oh, New Mexico, all right.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna go around. They're gonna go to Albuquerque. They're gonna go over to John Briggs, Lyceum. They're gonna go to the Enchanted Star Party. So they're gonna kind of hit. They're gonna be in that whole area there.
That's where I'll be with Alex.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And if I'm gonna be there, I'll let you know, Ray.
Yeah, yeah. We rented a trailer south of Albuquerque, and we'll be staying 4 nights in Pie Town with a 25-foot trailer because there's no facilities there.
Yeah, do you know Rick Lynch, Tony?
I know Rick, yeah.
Yeah, Rick's the one who's kind of trying to organize it. He's looking at doing it like maybe 10, 12 people going down. I think Bob Horton's already said he was going.
Well, let me know. Maybe I'll go with you guys.
All right.
Jim must be going, right?
Well, if you're going,
yeah, Jim Hendrickson, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim and Francine will be going.
How about the Psyox?
Probably not, because Steve can't get around, and I guess because he's going to one of them's like Ray. You probably know the name of it. There's a kind of mountaintop observatory down there.
Magdalena Ridge.
That's
MRO. I've been there.
Yeah, that's one of the side trips, and I guess it's Steve not being able to get around. And I guess there's some walking involved in that, and
not a lot of walking. It's the ride up the hill. You got to have 4-wheel drive vehicle to get up there.
Yeah, he's already discussed that we were going. The vehicles we ran all needed to be 4-wheel drive SUVs.
Yeah. There are 2 things up there. There's the MRO and there's that newer thing they're building, which I forget the name of it, but we toured them all, but it wasn't a ton of walking.
Okay, yeah. And we're also going to visit the VLA.
Yeah, did that.
That's in the neighborhood of He's got a whole itinerary, worked out.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot.
He's talking about $1,200 per person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to be driving from Chicago area out to Albuquerque by myself, and then I'll meet up with my grandson for the annular eclipse, and then I'll meet up with my son for the 4 days at ESSP. So I'm going to have a truckload.
Yeah, if you're going down, Steve, I might consider going.
Well, we'll talk about it. When is it exactly again? I'm sorry.
October.
This trip, you know what I'll do, Steve, Rick made a flyer. I'll scan it and send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
It's got all the details on it. And so we'll, go for it. I mean, that was part of the reason I wasn't going to go. I don't really know anybody. I kind of feel funny because my wife's already said emphatically she's not going.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask my wife.
Well, the Star Party starts on the Sunday after the eclipse. 14th for the eclipse and 15th the Star Party in Pie Town, New Mexico.
Yeah, and I think he's got this trip scheduled from the 12th to the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So you get in on Thursday night. Friday's kind of a free day, and then the eclipse is on Saturday. He wanted to give that 1-day buffer in case, you have any travel snafus.
Yeah.
So basically getting in on Thursday night and then leaving the next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mike, you're not driving down, are you?
No way.
We could rent. We could share a rental of a vehicle and all that.
Well, that's what they're doing. What they're trying to do is for the group is that they get 3 or 4. Get 3 or 4 SUVs, and then passengers chip in, and then we divide the cost of the transportation.
Yeah.
The Star Party is in a site with no facilities. I mean, they might have a little bit of electricity to charge, but there's nothing, no hookups, none of that kind of stuff where they do it.
Yeah. That's okay. I've got, I can, so we rough it a little bit, as long as there'll be, bathrooms or whatever.
There'll be some of that kind of stuff. They'll bring in some porta potties or something.
Yeah. Well, I've got a nice field model Questar that I picked up, so that gets some good use out of that.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of bringing, because I could carry it on. Yeah, I don't have to ship it. I could carry it with me. Bring in and maybe ship down a tripod or something.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, because they're gonna do on this trip anyway. They're gonna do observing. I mean, the other thing, my other reservation, Steve, is that it's all scripted.
Hmm.
I don't, and some people like that, because they,
Well,
I like to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
yeah. Well, so maybe you and I will go down and we'll get our own vehicle and we'll schmy around.
Yeah, we could do that. Then we could do whatever the hell we feel like.
Right.
We'll
take the whole crew. All you guys will come with us.
Anybody else planning on?
Right? They're gonna see John Briggs?
Yes.
I will.
Yeah, they do. They already have something set up with John.
Yeah.
To go visit the Lyceum.
That would be great, Steve. You'll love that. It's all old school optics.
I know.
I would say oldest school optics.
Right. John gave a talk on this very line, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
And this,
we have a guy out the other place too, don't we, Ray?
What's that?
That observatory. Remember the guy that he was working out there? Where was that place?
You talking Glacier?
Yeah.
No, I'll see him in August. That was Glenn. Glenn was on Tony's group once or twice, and he is a resident astrophotographer type guy at St. Mary's Visitor Center in Glacier. They got a 20-inch plane wave they assembled in 2019. I was there when they built the observatory, and I'll be with him for a few days. We're out there for 5 days. And so Tony has talked to him.
Right.
Hey, got a question for you, Rich. I'm looking at the map. It looks like it's quite a distance, but how far a drive would that be for you? Because I know you're out there.
I'm just looking at that. As a matter of fact, I've got a map. Well, the best place would be up in, someplace in Oregon, Middle Oregon. I have some friends that live in Eugene, Oregon, which is not quite in the middle of the path, but close to it. But that's to Eugene. If I drove it in one day, it would be I don't know, like 9-10 hours. But
all right, that's pretty good. Yeah,
up to the border, California, it's about 6 hours for me.
Yeah,
Oregon border.
You're right on the edge.
Yeah, no, not quite. Just a little small piece in Northern California, and nothing in that area.
Okay.
But it's tempting.
Yeah, because it's going through a lot of open territory there, Nevada, Utah, right, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Goes right through Albuquerque, right dead nuts. And then my grandson's place is on
I think Albuquerque's
center
right
line.
here, isn't it?
Yeah, someplace like that.
Yeah. You see the highways here.
That's
right
got to
here.
be it. He lives by the mountains, and the center line goes right through where he lives. For that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's Albuquerque right there.
Yeah, it sounds right.
This looks like there's a road from New England all the way straight down to Albuquerque. Is that Route 66 or something?
No,
That's
66 is
stuck in this one.
Yeah, what's that?
Is that 70?
Oklahoma City. That's the one I take to get to Albuquerque. Yeah. That's I can't remember the number.
Route 40. Route 40 goes through Albuquerque, and north-south is 25.
All right, so 40 all the way from Pennsylvania, probably. Ohio.
No, 40 doesn't go to Pennsylvania. 40 starts in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I used to live.
Oh, okay. All right.
But there's roads, there's interstates there.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be in that area, I've been to New Mexico twice. If you're going to be there, go to the VLA and then also go to Sunspot, New Mexico. See the best solar observing sites in the U.S.
Wow.
But the VLA is in Socorro. You can drive there hour and a half from Albuquerque.
Yeah,
well, that's where we'll be camping, Mike.
Alex has a house there.
Awesome.
The Star Party's about 80 miles west of Socorro.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to check out. I get John Briggs has all of Gene Cross's estate material. So, you know, and Gene Cross was the importer of Clave Paris eyepieces to this country, and I was used to correspond with him. He passed away, but you know, so that the Lyceum is quite a place that John's building there.
Yeah, that's only about 30 miles out of Socorro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way Rick had it planned, was a couple of nights in Albuquerque, then a couple of nights down in Socorro,
Mm-hmm.
then back to Albuquerque and out.
Was he planning on going to the ESSP or not?
Yeah, I think he had one night planned for that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think he had one night because he had put it in the itinerary that it was going to be that one was going to be a long day, right? So probably leaving the Star Party sometime at night. And driving back to Socorro, which is about probably better than an hour, right?
Yeah, it's 85 miles if I remember right.
All right.
From where they're going to have that.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little better than an hour.
What's the weather like down there during October?
It get cold as hell at night. When Alex and I were there in 2019, first night was up in the mountains about 7,000 feet outside of Magdalena, and it was pleasant. The next night we went up top the MRO, which is 10,600 feet at the observatory, and we set up and did Milky Way and stuff like that, and it was still decent. The third night we went back down to the ESSP site, and my God, it was 35-mile-an-hour winds and about 25 degrees. And my hands, I had to get in the Suburban and turn the car, heat up. I got so cold, even though I had layers on. It was something else, totally different from the first two nights.
Wow.
So you got to be ready for anything.
If you're going to be in Magdalena, there's an observatory there. I'm not sure if it's finished yet, but there's an observatory there where they brought several years ago, they brought a 13-inch refractor, which came from Columbia University in New York City. And I used that telescope once back in the mid-90s, and they were trying to sell it back then, and they did eventually sell it. The only stipulation was that whoever was going to buy the refractor had to pay for the crane to lift it out through the slit in the dome, which eventually somebody did buy it and paid for it to be moved out, and it ended up in Magdalena, New Mexico. And if it's in an observatory, I believe it's going to be a public observatory where you can get to use it. I did observe through it at Columbia University. It's the only time I observed the night sky in downtownW York, and we observed the planet Jupiter through that 13-inch refractor.
I don't know. John Briggs would know.
How was the view?
It was fine. Look at Jupiter, even in downtown Manhattan, it was fine through a 13-inch refractor.
Who made the refractor?
I don't remember. Who made it.
Do you know what year?
No, I don't.
Who made them?
Boy, it almost sounds like, remember that game Operation? trying to pluck that telescope off through the slit of a dome. Right.
Pulling out a wrenched ankle.
Yeah, one wrong move, right? Bang.
Speaking of giant refractors at neaf, Yuri from Tech had his 8-inch F11 fluoride 11 F11 doublet on display. A friend of mine bought one, and so he's waiting for it. And what's interesting is Yuri also had a 160 doublet F11 as well, and apparently that's because of the extra glass that he would have based on his 8-inch project. He would have some extra glass, and he would make the 160s out of it. So he's also going to be selling those as well. And they come apart into 3 pieces. So it was interesting to see that.
Did you run into Ron Sampson while you were down there?
No, I didn't see Ron this year. Well, we have the great minds here. Long focal length refractors. Are they better for planetary or not? than a fast refractor, and why?
Peter, you want to answer that? You or Fred?
Well, I would say that the challenges of the shorter F ratio refractors, they're more demanding on all of the corrections and all, and so having a longer F ratio, it allows you to just put in a simple multiplier to get you to the imaging scale for the planets. So it's a like in the Takahashi factory, they use a long focal length refractor in their scheme to test their new refractors, because it gives them access to a better corrected from the standpoint of colors and images. So I would say if you're doing planetary, the best possible worlds is the longer. It gets you there easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the correction doesn't have to be as extreme on those, and then the image is quite larger too.
Yeah, the scale.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. That's good, because I've got I'm really starting to get into these F12s and F15s and things.
I will say that given the choice between, say, a TOA 150B and a Mulan 300, I would choose the Mulan 300 for up close planetary imaging.
Why is that, Chris?
Just gives me a better view from my location. And there's easier on most eyepieces as well because of the higher F ratio. So you don't have to have super, awesome eyepieces. You can use a wider variety of eyepieces.
Yep.
Simpler designs give you a little bit better contrast, though, don't they?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like an orthoscopic or the clave should be wonderful on those, Steve.
Yeah, the claves.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I'm just picking up a Nikon 100 F12, and I've got a Zeiss 110 F15 that Tony's going to help me put together. So I'm really going back to the old school, longer refractors, and just kind of learning more about benefits of it. But yeah, that scale is a big deal. That's right. So thank you guys.
Tony, I found some additional information about that 13-inch refractor. You were
Yeah.
asking about who made it and how old it is. I got a picture here. It came out of a magazine, which is how I found out about where it ended up. It's a 13-inch Rutherford refractor built in 1868.
Wow.
And it's located at the CWB Gallery in Magdalena. And it was planned to be put on a mount, which was donated by two people named Dennis and Kim Cassia of the Springfield Telescope Makers.
Oh, yeah, Dennis and Kim, we know those guys.
Yep.
And they donated a large Cave Astrola German equatorial mount for that telescope. So that's what it's supposed to be set up on. So if it's operational, that's what you'll see.
That's great. There's somebody, Dawn, KB1VP. Can you introduce yourself a little bit? Because I can't. There you are. Oh, all right. Now I see the face there.
We know Don.
I couldn't
We know
figure out
Don.
who it was. It's the face.
I lost the reference to this video when I had problems with my email. And that was like 4 months ago. I finally got it corrected and now have it back in my calendar.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah, glad to have you back.
Yep.
I'm just sitting here listening to all the experts. And I was eating my lunch, so I did not want to show off that while you were talking.
We're probably all hungry here, so we.
I made some barbecue chicken on the smoker, and it was good.
Well, there you go. Well, I hope you learned something today, Don, from listening to all of the experts here.
Yes, I did. I thought I had reservations for the eclipse, and they found out that everything I did was not accepted by the campsite. They sold it to me for $50 a site, and they're now $175 a site per night.
Mm,
A lot of price gouging.
yeah.
I'm very, very surprised. And I'm, of course, very disappointed that they didn't take my reservations. When I went there in March, they hadn't even heard of the eclipse, according to the lady that was there.
Mhm.
I don't know if I believe that or not.
This is the total in April?
Yes.
Whereabouts were you trying to book, Don?
In Toe, Texas. It's only a very short distance from Center Line on Buchanan Lake. And
How do you pronounce that, Chris? Do you know?
I've never heard of that. Is it TOW?
it's TOW, and if you've heard of it, you're from Texas.
Well, it's not very far away from where I live, so I'm kind of impressed that I have not heard of it actually.
I still have a site in Waco via my relations that is my backup site. I'm just looking for a better site for camping and enjoying the whole experience.
Mm. Scott, you're out. See you, Scott.
Yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I've got to run too. I've got another appointment.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna run. Great as usual. See you all.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you, Fred.
So long.
Yeah, give me a holler there, Chris.
Yes, sir.
You got my phone number, right?
I think I do. If you'll give me just a moment, I'll call you. I mean,
Did Ramon leave? I wanted to ask him if he saw anything.
He's gone.
is there a way to send a message?
Wayne, how did you like neaf? You didn't.
I was there for a few hours on Sunday. I enjoyed it. But like I said, the lack of distributors was kind of disappointing to me. I was hoping to pick up a couple of things because they had these sales, and the dealers just weren't there, and the ones that were there didn't have the stock. But it was great. I mean, seeing the new line of products from ZWO was really amazing. They've come out with some really cool stuff. They came up with this thing called Sea Star. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Tony, but it's like the what was that the thing you used to do the repairs for?
Unistellar? It's a
Yeah, the
robotic
Unistellar.
telescope.
It's sort of like that. It's a little more along the lines of the Dwarf 2. I think it's a 50 millimeter objective, but it's a triplet, and it uses the ASI 462 MC camera in it. And the thing's selling, the introductory price is $400.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I was trying to tell Tom the other day because they Tom Sagan is Tom B, and he wants to buy a Unistellar, and I says, why don't you wait and take a look at these here?
Yep.
They think that the aperture is going to make a big difference, and I don't know 50 up against 4, but 50 millimeters of a triplet refractor should outperform a 4-inch mirror. What do you think?
I'll tell you what, I haven't seen the result. I mean, they had some results that they showed, and it looked pretty good. I know there's a guy I follow who's been doing some stuff with the Dwarf 2, which is a very similar unit, and he's been getting pretty good results with that as well. So, and for the money, I don't think you can go wrong. Especially for somebody who just wants to do some EAA that doesn't really know their way around the sky, or somebody who's just getting interested in the hobby. It's a pretty inexpensive way to get started.
I agree 100%. I think $4,000 is an awful lot of money.
And considering that it's got to deal with issues like field rotation and things like that, and it's too much money. You know, for $4,000, you can get a really nice, you know, pretty decent, not a really, but you can get a pretty good astrophotography setup that's going to be a hell of a lot more useful, and will work with other things.
I agree.
You know,
I'm surprised that Takahashi hasn't done anything. But, the only thing that they don't have, I guess, is an eyepiece, so you can actually look through them. Did they say how many people could is it proprietary software? Is it how many people can log on at the same time? Do you know any of that?
that I don't know. I know that they have, there is an app for it. And I think that the idea is that you can cast that app right to a TV, or something, so that way a whole group of people can see it at once.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. Ray, are you still on? Did Ray leave? What is this? Just me and you, Wayne.
All right. I'm gonna, well, here, wait, let me show you something real quick. Can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Show you. Share. Here, I'll show you what I've been doing. So this was from last night. It's the second time I've ever imaged Venus.
Wow.
And there's actually like a dark marking right there where the cross is.
Yes.
And but the problem is when I zoom in on it, it's really pixelated.
Right.
You know, but let me close that. This was also from last night. That's 2 hours on the owl.
Wow.
And then this is 5 hours on M106, which I want to get more. I want to bring out that faint spiral arms. And then this is 5 hours on the needle. That's all in the last week and a half.
What are you using for a telescope?
I'm using a C8 for this with a 0.63 reducer flattener.
But you have an older C8, right?
It is. It's early 2000s, the one that I have.
Got some nice detail. That's 81.
No, that's 4565. That's M106 and M97.
M97, yeah.
Yeah, and then, well, but I'll tell you that this software this is PixInsight, which is the learning curve on this thing is so ridiculous. But I'll show you real quick the M97 image. Where's my here? This is the raw image. I'm going to show you. This is the raw stack. That's what the raw stack looks like. There's a couple of stars there, and that's it. But once I start to stretch it, you know, here's the stretch tool. When I stretch it, you know, then it shows the details, and you know, there's a lot of, like, I cropped away a lot of the you know, you get these edges here that are screwed up. So I cropped that stuff away, but some of these tools are just ridiculous. And I mean, to go from you know, this, which is just a boosted image really, to this that blows my mind. You know, and when I one of the things I do is a lot of times I'll do like a quick live stack. And this picture right here is what it looks like in the live stack. But then once I really process it, and you know, I can bring out the colors, and I can do all kinds of things in there. And you know, there's this little bit of nebulosity right here by this star. I thought at first it was
a comet.
Maybe it had a collimation issue or something, but it's not. I looked at hundreds of other pictures of M97, and they all have it. So I don't know if it's part of M97, that bit of nebulosity, or if it's just a reflection nebula or something that's nearby. I don't know. But I can't find any information out about it. But I have to get more time, because that's only 2 hours. And you know, like that's 5 hours, and that's not enough time.
So one of the things I was thinking about doing is I'm going to make a Frankenstella when I get back. I have a bunch of parts left over and stuff, and I have a board down here. And what I was going to do is I have extra cameras that they sent me.
Right.
And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make an eyepiece out of one and stick it in my Questar.
Oh,
and,
that'd be nice.
and then see if I could just take some photographs through the Questar with that. We'll
You know-
stack. We'll do the live stacking and everything for me. So I'm kind of wondering. You see, when I worked for Unistar, they were pretty good, but now the new ones have come out and they're a little bit better, but they're not. And I talked to Alex, Ray's boy, and everybody's having problems with these. And the company, here's what they do that's really weird. In order for you to clear the data, you have to upload all your stuff to their server.
Right.
Why should it be their fucking business what we're photographing? It doesn't make any sense to
No,
me.
it doesn't. That doesn't make sense.
That's why I left it, because they had me purge a bunch of stuff from a B&H photo, and they didn't tell me that they were gonna sell them as new. But anyway, I got a call, so I will see you next week.
All right, you got it, Tony. Thanks.
Bye now.
All right, bye.
Hello.
Hi, I'd like to speak with somebody about repairing a refractor.
Okay.
I have a William Optics Zenith Star ZS105.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the objective lens cell is out of collimation.
Okay. It's a doublet or a triplet?
Well, it's claimed to be a triplet, but I took the dew shield off and took a look at the design, and judging from the screws that are in there, it appears to be a doublet rear element and then a single lens in the front. I mean, they called it a triplet, but it's really a kind of a doublet plus lens triplet.
The rear element, is it far away from the primary objective?
No, it's got a little tiny spacer in there. It looks like some sort of a little thin spacer. There are three of them radially spaced.
Did you try shining like a laser into it to see how many reflections you got?
Not recently, but they claim it is a triplet, but a triplet by definition because it has three lenses,
Right.
two of which are cemented.
So the two lenses are a cemented doublet, and then there's a front lens element, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and there are a set three pairs of screws that are on the same plane that look like they move that rear doublet around. I've had the scope for almost 18 years now, and mostly visual. I took it out for some deep sky imaging and noticed really bad coma across the entire field. So I took it apart and removed the lens cell and discovered that the retaining ring was loose. The retaining ring holds the stack of three elements together. So I kind of gently tightened that down, and then using a point light source, basically a demagnified image of the sun during the day, I was able to adjust the coma out by positioning the screws very carefully.
Yep.
Slowly making changes. So I looked visually like I'd gotten rid of the coma and I was getting a good diffraction pattern in and out of focus. But then I took it out recently and did some deep sky photography again, and I still see an off-center image. So I'm wondering if somebody with better equipment, more sophisticated skills, could do a better job of aligning it than I did.
Well, the question is, this secondary image that you're getting is like a ghost image?
Well, if you can imagine a picture of a star with the bright spot of the center off a little bit to one side.
That's out of
and then
collimation.
also, I'm sorry?
That's collimation.
Yeah. And then also I'm getting red and blue fringing, red on one side, blue on the other.
So you're telling me that you have an out of collimation, not really a triplet, but you may have secondary color in that. You may have chromatic aberration in that lens.
Looks like it, yeah.
is this something that's new that you just noticed, or was it like that all along, or?
Well, I have to think that, well, the original problem that with the coma, I think, was probably that way all along because I used it mostly for visual. It wasn't until I started doing, photography with it that I noticed what I saw just recently, which is that kind of shaped star point image.
Well, I won't be back to, I'm in Florida right now, and I won't be back to New Hampshire for another week. We just had a big call. We have a call every week. We had about 16 astronomers on today. So you're welcome to join us. If you send me an email, I'll put you on the call. There's a lot of interesting things that people talk about. I had Takahashi there today. I had Fred Garcia, he used to work for Takahashi. I had Chris, who works for Takahashi now. We had a bunch of nice, you'll like this group of guys. And now as far as going back to your thing, if you send it to me, I may be able to get it a little bit better. But if you have chromatic aberration, it's because the lenses aren't good quality, that may not come out.
Years ago. So this is probably one of their first shows. And from what I understand, they quickly after they introduced it. So there must have been either a problem with it, or they couldn't make it, or ran into problems or whatever. And you don't hear much about it much anymore. Today modern shows is supposed to be pretty good. What about these shows? Supposed to be good quality actors.
Well, I was a dealer from them when they first started, and I could never get the product from them. No. Well, I was shipping UPS, first of all. And then, does it have a rail on it?
For what?
Does it have a dovetail?
Yeah, it does.
Right. So, what kind of dovetail do you have on it?
It's the Vixen.
Oh, all right, it's a standard Vixen, okay. Because I just gotta see what I have that's gonna hold it.
Yeah.
So I do have a mount that will hold that. I use all azimuth mounts a lot because they're easier to work with when I'm doing this type of a job. I'll do it inside, I use an artificial star, and then I'll take it outside to test it. That's what I'll do. So, whatever the cost is shipping, and then I get about 150 an hour. I don't know how long it will take me, at least a couple of hours, so you gotta kind of figure out, if you're gonna spend $400 on that telescope, if it's gonna be, I'm just trying to be honest with you, if it's gonna be worth it to you. I mean,
right,
you can get, by the time you do everything and it's $600 and I don't get all the stuff out. I would have rather see you sell that scope and get not that I'm selling scopes, but getting a good Takahashi. I could get you a good Takahashi, then you won't ever have a problem, because you can't compare Japanese optics with Chinese optics. That Williams is Chinese. Come on, yeah. Yeah. My cat came out, was on the outside with all of us.
I'll say, the Jeep race, the question is it worth $600? I mean, I could probably sell it over on Bobby Height for maybe 700 or so, and with somebody who's more reachable than, that red and blue, you know, I don't want to get with out of focus. So, and it wasn't just atmospheric dispersion either. It looked to me like it was in the image, but maybe that's about all it's worth, and maybe it's not worth screwing around with. Well, I got that. You obviously know the scope. What do you think about the Avatar brand? There's a company called DWO that's selling their 107, which is supposed to be a test model design, and it's 107 millimeter diameter L7, and it's supposed to be flat steel, 44 millimeters in diameter. But what worries me about it is it uses SK1 glass, two elements of SK1. Do you have any information or idea or insight about that?
Well, it's still a Chinese telescope. Still a Chinese made. And